Hello there, it's Steve Carroll here, and I really thought I ought to do another video as people have been so kind as to subscribe to my channel. And what I thought I'd do is something called a top 10 favourite artworks that I have actually seen. These are artworks that I haven't just seen in books, but which I've seen in person. I think that would be only fair because anybody can just go through Google Images or go through books. These are artworks that I've actually seen and have had an impact on me in actually seeing them. And I'd like to just say, first of all, being a poor struggling artist, I haven't travelled that much. There's lots of galleries I would like to go and see. The two that are really on my bucket list are the Prado in Madrid and the Uffizi in Florence. But I have travelled a little bit, and I have seen some of these in foreign galleries, but some of them have also been actually exhibited in special exhibitions in London, in England, where I live. So let's start, but before I do that, I'd just like to say that my inspiration for this was I look at a lot of YouTube videos. I'm very much into music, and I watch things like, you know, top 10 prog albums and top 10 movies and things like that. And then what they do is they do a top 10 part 2, which I don't quite understand. Why would you do a top 10 number 2 if you've already done your top 10? Wouldn't it be more 11 to 20? When I say top 10, I do hope I'm going to be able to do other videos like this, but I'm not going to number them from like 1 to 10. I'm just going to show you the top 10 that I could think of immediately, and then I might do another top 10, but I'm not going to number them. Instead, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through chronological order. So I'm going to start from the earliest created to the most recent. So let's kick off with my first one, which is the Winged Victory of Samothrace, which is in the Louvre. Now, this is a beautiful sculpture that is believed to have been created around 200 BC. It's something which, when I saw it, it struck me for its power. Even though the arms and the head are missing, it's still an incredibly powerful image. Now, when I saw this in the Louvre, it was February 1999, and on the Eiffel Tower there was a clock with a countdown to the millennium, and so we were all thinking very much about the new millennium. And when I saw this, I realised that this is more than 2 millennium old. It is something which is not just from another age, it almost seems to be from another dimension. The power that's inside it, the earnestness of the sculpting, I mean, what can you say? It just made me realise that the ancient world had something which we could envy, and has been envied, obviously, for the past 2 millennia. This really is one of my favourite pieces of work. Next up is the Madonna of the Meadows by Giovanni Bellini. Now, this painting is in the National Gallery in London. When you go into the National Gallery, I'm hoping they're going to open the Sainsbury wing in the National Gallery very soon, because it's been closed for far too long. But when you see this painting in its situation in the Sainsbury wing, it really stands out. Whereas there's a lot of darkness, a lot of very sort of denseness to the paintings, this one has a freshness to it, a look of fresh air. And it's a beautiful painting with a beautiful message. So there we have Mary in an attitude of prayer, and the Christ child is on her lap in an expression of death, almost like a Shakespearean theatrical death, with his hand on his chest. And then in the background we see the man who is sleeping, and whilst he's been asleep, a snake has come to attack the cattle that he's supposed to be looking after. But the snake is fought off by a pelican. And the pelican is, of course, the symbol of Christ. And so Christ, whilst the man was asleep, has actually fought off the serpent of sin. And over on the other side of the painting, we see this city. It's like a heavenly city, with like the city of Jerusalem that's descended from the heavens, with this woman in white, upright woman doing what she's supposed to do. It's a painting all about restoration. It's a painting all about new life, and it's something that I've always really, really loved. Now, one gallery I have been to is the Accademia in Venice. I was there in 1985. And I'd always known about this painting because, of course, it's one of the paintings you know about from Gombrich's Story of Art. I'd always admired it as a painting, found it very mysterious, but when I saw it in real life, it really struck me. It was all on its own in a little sort of room, isolated, and it glowed. It had this deep glow to it. That stormy teal sky really does look intense. It really does glow. And then when you look around it, it is a very mysterious painting. It's almost something quite surrealist. I have a theory about this painting, and I may be totally wrong, but I believe that this could be a depiction of the flight to Egypt from the Nativity story. That what you've got there is Mary resting, and she's feeding the child, and there's a very Venetian Joseph on the other side with his staff. I could be totally wrong, of course. But the other weird thing is that just in between, or near to where Joseph is, you've got this kind of block of bricks with two little stumps on it, which seems a very, very strange thing to put into the painting. But in some way it adds to the sort of surreal atmosphere of it. Now, Giorgione was a great painter, and of course he died very young of plague, but I think this is one of his greatest. The next up is the view of Toledo by the great El Greco. This is a fantastic painting. It makes me think of, again, a heavenly place. We know that Toledo was a powerhouse of Catholic spirituality in the 16th century, and this is how El Greco portrays this city, as if it is something else. It's not just a geographical location, it is a state of spiritual ecstasy, where that incredible light coming from the sky, where the light all seems to be emanating actually from like a strange shape in the sky, and then this tangled, complicated landscape and townscape, which really is something which the mind can explore over and over again. I never tire of looking at this painting. I've actually attempted a copy of this painting. This is actually in the Metropolitan in New York. I have been to the Metropolitan, but I didn't see this painting because it was so big I didn't get time. I was only there for a day. But I actually saw it in a special exhibition in the National Gallery. So that's El Greco, one of the great artists of all history. Now, when we consider Vermeer, I consider again Vermeer one of the greatest painters, a very popular painter, of course. And you think of the great paintings that he's done, obviously The Girl with the Pearl Earring, The Milkmaid pouring milk, The Woman Reading a Letter by the Window. They're all very beautiful. But this is a painting I saw in the Royal Academy, a special exhibition. I believe it was 1984. And I saw this painting and it just stopped me in my tracks and brought a tear to my eye. It's a painting of a very ordinary, plain-looking young lady, and she's tuning a lute. And as she's tuning the lute, she's looking out into the daylight. What kind of light is that coming in there? Is it a very strong light? Possibly not. Possibly quite a dull light on reflection. But it's almost as if she is getting some kind of inspiration for the tuning of this instrument from the light that's coming through the window. Now, as someone who has problems tuning his own guitar, and I have to have an app to do it, this is just a very inspiring painting. It's a painting about simple beauty, the simple beauty of striking the string of a lute and getting a good tune, the simple beauty of light coming through a window, and the simple beauty of a young woman who seems to be just so interested, so absorbed in the beauty of music. Now, whilst we're in the Dutch 17th century, we must look at the great master Rembrandt. Here is a painting called The Jewish Bride, which is actually in the Hermitage Museum in St. Petersburg, but I saw it again in a special exhibition in the National Gallery. Now, I'd done several lectures over and over again of Rembrandt, and this painting had always fascinated me because I understand that when he, at this stage in his life, he was experimenting with paint to create this thickness that you see, this impasto that you see on the sleeve of the man here. And one of the things that he's reported to have done is actually ground up glass and mixed it in with his oil paint. And I thought this was pretty remarkable, rather dangerous thing. I think health and safety would have something to say about that. And I always wondered if this was true, because it did seem quite an extreme thing to do. And of course, when I saw it in the National Gallery, there it was, with these glistening little diamonds of glass in the sleeve. And I was so overwhelmed by it. I think it's a beautiful painting. It's a beautiful, tender painting of a married couple. And I have an actual copy of this up in, hang up in my bedroom, actually. My wife is from a Jewish family, and so it has a lot of meaning for me. Very, very beautiful painting. Now, Vincent van Gogh. Again, I believe one of the greatest painters to have ever lived. There is so many paintings by Vincent van Gogh I could have put up, but I wanted to show you one which stopped me in my tracks. And this is this still life with oranges. I saw this in a special exhibition in the Royal Academy in London. It's a painting that just completely stopped me in my tracks. I went with my father. My father was also incredibly struck by it. It's just a simple painting of some oranges in a little wicker basket on a table with a curtain and a wall behind it. But those oranges are gorgeous, even though if you look at the skins, they look a little bit blemished. I still get this feeling that if I was to unpeel one of those oranges, it would taste absolutely delicious. With the cool blue around the oranges, complementing the orange colour, of course, it really does make these simple fruit into something that is quite remarkable. And I think that's the point of art, personally. I think the point of art is to make the ordinary remarkable and to make us realise that the world around us is a very wonderful thing. And this is something he has definitely achieved. Now, in April 2022, I was in New York and I had the great privilege of being able to go to the Museum of Modern Art. And, of course, I really wanted to see this painting. This painting by Picasso, Les Demoiselles d'Avignon, which is believed to have been the first truly 20th century painting. Not because of its subject matter, the subject matter of 5 nude women has been going on since classical times, but because of the way in which it's painted. The style in which it is painted owes nothing to any part of the history of Western art at all. It is a completely new break with the artistic tradition. Instead of being a painting where we're looking with one single point of perspective, we're beginning to see the surface of the painting fractured, as if we're looking from different angles. Some people consider this not necessarily as masterpiece and not very finished. The 2 figures on the right who have masks on, which I believe were based on Polynesian masks that he'd seen in the ethnic galleries of the Louvre, they're quite different from the other 3 figures. It seems to be a picture which is in transience. It's something that's going from one style, one place to another. But I think it is still an incredibly powerful painting. And one of the things that really hit me was the crudeness and the boldness of that blue outline. It's like a cobalt blue outline around the orange leg of the woman on the far left. It was just really struck me as an incredibly powerful thing to do. I don't think anybody had done anything just as basic and crude but bold as that in a painting. And I think this all looks forward to, obviously, to the whole 20th century of art, at least the early part of the 20th century. A masterpiece. When I was thinking of my final slot and thinking of the most up-to-date artwork that I have appreciated and that has really struck me, I have to look at this one here. Dame Cornelia Parker's Cold Dark Matter and Exploded View. Now, the way in which she created this is she took a garden shed, put it in the middle of a field, and then filled it with bric-a-brac and all the just ordinary objects that somebody might have inside their house. All the type of objects which, really make up and say something about our ordinary lives. And then she got the British Army to blow it up. And then she and her assistants went round the field, picking up all the charred pieces, all the broken pieces, and then they arranged it like this on wires with a light bulb right in the middle. And it speaks to me of the moment of creation, what some people call the Big Bang, or from the Bible, let there be light, and there was light. And when you look at it, you see that everything in there, there's broken pieces, some pieces are still intact, but it's just ordinary aspects of life. There are musical instruments, there's a tennis racket, there's kitchen household equipment, things like that, books. It's just ordinary stuff, but you're reminded that everything around you, all the things that you fill your life with, all the things that clutter your life, all have their origin from one moment in time. That moment in time really just spewed out everything else that was possible within this universe. And to me, this piece is, it's like a religious piece of art. I'd like to see it hung up in a cathedral, because I think that would be a very apt place for it to be. And of course, it's not just the objects that are hanging there, it's also the shadows that it's casting around the gallery. It really is a fantastic piece of work. I got told off for, I got quite close to it and I started blowing on the pieces and seeing if they would move, and they did. They're so delicately balanced, and I got told off by one of the attendants for doing that. But I was fascinated by it. It really is one of my favourite pieces of work ever. So that's it. That's my top 10. Please subscribe if you liked that video. Put a comment in there if you disagree with me, or if I've made yet another one of my pronunciation errors, then please let me know. But also I'd like to hear of your top 10. What would you say were your top 10 favourite artworks, sculpture, installations, paintings, drawings, anything? Please let me know, and I look forward to hearing from you soon. And hopefully we might do another top 10 in the near future. Cheerio!